can't tell anyone about this.
I understand the risks.
I used to believe trust was stronger than ink, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. I had worked hard, climbed fast, and people noticed me. Every morning I walked into the office feeling chosen, needed, safe. I told myself loyalty was rare, and I had found it. She taught me that. She said belief mattered more than suspicion. I listened. I was young enough to think success meant approval, and proud enough to think I had earned both without reading the fine print. That confidence felt clean then, like light, not like a warning I should question later at all. My life looked perfect from outside. Promotions came early, deadlines bent for me, and meetings paused when I spoke. I stayed late, learned faster, and filled gaps others avoided. I wanted to be seen as reliable, not replaceable. She noticed that hunger immediately. She praised my discipline, my silence, my patience. When she smiled at me across conference tables, I felt taller. I didn't know ambition could be guided, shaped, and slowly owned by someone I trusted completely. At work and in love, I confused being useful with being valued, and nobody corrected me then for my sake alone ever. She was older, calmer, already respected. People listened when she spoke, including me. She became my mentor first, correcting my tone, sharpening my instincts. Then she became my lover, quietly, carefully, like it was a privilege I had earned. She said we were partners in vision and effort. I believed her without asking proof. When she said my future was bright, I let her define the shape of that light for me, without resistance. I mistook her confidence for care, and her certainty for safety, because it felt easier that way than standing alone and unsure with my thoughts unfiltered. The day she mentioned the contract, her voice was gentle. She said, "It's standard, nothing personal." I laughed and said paperwork bored me. She smiled and slid the pages closer. "This protects us," she said. I asked, "Both of us?" She nodded without hesitation. "Especially you." That should have slowed me. Instead, I felt chosen again. I trusted her tone more than the words printed in tight legal lines. My name looked small under her signature, and I ignored how final the ink already felt because doubt sounded like betrayal inside my head at that moment of blind faith alone. My best friend watched from his desk. He leaned over and whispered, "You sure?" I shrugged and said, "She wouldn't hurt me." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "Just read it later," he muttered. I smiled like that solved everything. He didn't argue again. Silence was easier for him. Confidence was easier for me. Neither of us wanted to disrupt something that looked successful from far away. I told myself hesitation belonged to failures, not to men moving forward with speed and trust. I laughed to bury the thought completely inside, where questions rarely survived long under pressure anyway. She called me into her office later. "I'm proud of you," she said. I said, "I learned from you." She replied, "That's why this works." I felt warmth spread through me. Praise from her felt earned, not given. I told her I trusted her completely. She touched my hand and said, "Always." That word settled heavy in my chest, comforting and dangerous at once, though I didn't understand why yet. I mistook certainty for permanence, and affection for protection, without asking what it might cost later because success made me careless with fear and eager to belong completely to her. That night, I celebrated alone at my desk, staring at the signed pages. I imagined the future she described. Shared wins. Mutual loyalty. Long-term growth. I didn't imagine exits. I didn't imagine locks. I told myself love and work could coexist cleanly. My phone buzzed with her message, "You did great today." I typed back, "For us." She replied with a heart. I leaned back, smiling, unaware how small decisions become cages when trust replaces caution completely. The office lights hummed, and I felt secure instead of alone for once. That feeling mattered more than logic to me then, honestly. Before leaving, I glanced again at the contract. Something about it felt final. I shook my head and laughed at myself. "You're overthinking," I said out loud. I trusted her. I trusted us. Doubt felt disloyal. I folded the papers carefully, like they were proof of progress. I walked out believing tomorrow was guaranteed, unaware that certainty is often the first thing taken away. My steps echoed with confidence, but something quiet followed me, patient, waiting, and unresolved. I ignored it because success demanded faith, not questions, or so I believed then, as doors closed softly behind me that night. I didn't know that contracts remember what people forget. I didn't know kindness can be strategic. I slept peacefully, thinking trust was my shield. The next morning would come like any other, I thought. I had no idea how silence could be weaponized. I believed loyalty protected the loyal. That belief sat deep, unchallenged. If someone asked me then about risk, I would have laughed and said, "Not with her." I didn't understand how easily trust becomes leverage when power already leans one way, and affection blinds ambition faster than fear ever could inside professional relationships like ours back then. My phone kept buzzing before I even opened my eyes. I reached for it, annoyed, expecting some early meeting reminder. Instead, I saw missed calls stacked on top of each other. Messages from coworkers. One from HR. I sat up fast and checked my email. Password incorrect. I tried again. Same result. I told myself the system was down. That lie lasted about 5 seconds. I called IT first. "Hey, my email isn't working," I said. There was a pause. "What's your employee ID?" I gave it. Another pause, longer this time. "You'll need to speak with HR," he said. "Why?" I asked. "I can't access your account," he replied, then hung up. My chest tightened. I called HR back. "This is about my access," I said. "Yes," the woman replied, voice flat. "So fix it," I snapped. "I can't," she said. "Your employment has been terminated." The word hit me harder than I expected. "Terminated?" "Yes," she repeated. "Since when?" "Effective immediately." "Why?" "You'll receive the details by email," she said. "I can't access my email," I said. Another pause. "That is no longer our responsibility," she answered. I didn't remember getting dressed. I just remember moving. Driving too fast. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I kept telling myself there was a mistake. She would fix it. She always fixed things. I parked and walked straight into the building, past the security desk. "Sir, you need a badge," the guard said. "I work here," I replied. "Not today," he said, blocking me. I pushed past him anyway and went straight to her office. The door was closed. Her assistant looked up, startled. "She's in a meeting," she said. "I'll wait," I replied. I didn't wait long. The door opened and she stepped out, calm, composed. She looked at me like I was a stranger who had wandered into the wrong room. "We need to talk," I said. She nodded. Yes. Briefly. Inside, I finally saw it. My nameplate was gone. Someone else's notebook sat on her desk. What is this? I asked. You've been let go, she said evenly. You didn't even tell me, I said. There was no need, she replied. I laughed, sharp and broken. You said we were partners. She folded her hands. Circumstances change. You replaced me, I said. Yes, she answered without hesitation. My throat burned. And the contract? She met my eyes. It's active. You promised. I promised nothing illegal, she interrupted. It's standard. That sentence again. You can't do this, I said. I already have, she replied. I stood there, shaking. 3 years? Yes, she said calmly. In this field. You ended my career overnight, I said. She sighed. You'll adapt. I left before I said something I couldn't take back. Outside, my phone rang. A number I didn't know. This is legal counsel, the man said. You work for her, I replied. I work for the company, he corrected. He explained the non-compete slowly, like I was a child. 3 years. No exceptions. Heavy penalties. So I'm done, I said. In this industry, yes, he replied. I hung up and called my friend. No answer. I texted. Nothing. I tried another coworker. Straight to voicemail. By noon, the silence was complete. I sat on the curb across the street from the building. People walked past me, laughing, rushing, living. No one looked at me. I watched the doors open and close, swallowing the life I thought was mine. For the first time, I understood what it meant to be erased. Silence became my routine before I accepted it. The first thing I sold was my watch. I told myself it was just an object, but handing it over felt like admitting time no longer belonged to me. Then came the furniture, the books, the suits I once wore with pride. Every sale felt like peeling away a version of myself I could no longer afford to be. I moved into a narrow apartment where the walls felt close enough to hear my thoughts. At night, I lay on the floor and whispered, "This isn't permanent," until the words stopped sounding true. Work came in pieces. Short contracts. Fake titles. Jobs that sounded important but paid nothing. I told people I was consulting. I told myself the same lie. Most days, I kept my head down and my voice lower. No one recognized me anymore, and that hurt more than I expected. I missed being seen. I missed mattering. But survival doesn't care about pride. Survival only asks if you can wake up tomorrow and do it again. I learned to answer yes, even when it tasted like ash. My sister called every week. "Are you eating?" she asked. "I'm fine," I said. "You always say that," she replied. "I am this time," I lied. She believed me anyway. She always did. She came to see me one afternoon, standing in my doorway with groceries and quiet concern. "You don't look fine," she said. "I look tired," I answered. "That's worse," she said gently. I didn't argue. I didn't have the energy. We sat on the floor because I didn't own a couch. She handed me a sandwich and watched until I took a bite. "You don't have to be strong with me," she said. "I don't know how to be anything else anymore," I replied. She nodded. "Then just don't disappear." Her faith hurt more than rejection ever did. Everyone else drifted away easily. She stayed. That forced me to face myself instead of pretending I was already gone. When she asked about her, I stayed quiet. When she asked about the contract, my jaw tightened. Shame wrapped itself around my words. I didn't want to explain how trust had ruined me. I didn't want to admit how willing I had been. At night, memories played without permission. Her voice. Her office. The pen in my hand. I replayed conversations, searching for moments I missed. "It's standard," she had said. I hated that sentence. It followed me everywhere. I heard it when I washed dishes. I heard it when I counted coins. I heard it when I stared at the ceiling, wondering how something so small could lock so much away. Anger came late. At first, there was only numbness. Then frustration. Then quiet rage that didn't know where to go. I clenched my fists in my pockets during interviews. I bit my tongue when people asked why my resume had gaps. "Personal reasons," I said. They nodded and moved on. No one wanted details. Neither did I. I started reading again, not for hope, but for control. Contracts first. Then markets. Then stories of failure no one celebrated. I studied patterns instead of dreams. I learned how power moved without emotion. I learned how rules were bent by those who wrote them. I didn't call it revenge. I didn't even call it preparation. I called it staying awake. My sister noticed the change before I did. "You're quieter," she said one evening. "I'm thinking," I replied. "That scares me," she admitted. "It shouldn't," I said. "Thinking keeps me alive." She asked if I was angry. I said no. That was another lie. I was angry at myself more than anyone else. Angry for believing love protected me. Angry for confusing mentorship with mercy. That anger burned slowly, like coal, not fire. It didn't explode. It hardened. Months blurred. Years stacked quietly. I stopped checking my old email. I stopped imagining apologies. I stopped waiting. My emotions flattened into something manageable. Calm replaced panic. Observation replaced reaction. I listened more. I spoke less. People revealed themselves when I stayed silent. That became useful. One night, my sister asked, "Do you still feel like a victim?" I thought about it. I thought about the contract. The apartment. The fake titles. The long nights. "No," I said finally. "What do you feel?" she asked. "Educated," I replied. She smiled sadly. "I wish it didn't cost so much." "So do I," I said. The truth was simple and heavy. The non-compete didn't destroy me. It stripped me. It forced me to see systems instead of stories. It slowed me down enough to learn. Silence became my teacher. Survival became my discipline. I wasn't reborn yet, but I was no longer broken. I stood up one morning and realized I wasn't afraid of the future anymore. I was curious. Rebirth didn't arrive like a miracle. It came quietly, without witnesses, without applause. I woke up one morning and realized panic no longer greeted me first. That was all. No motivation speech. No sudden confidence. Just silence where fear used to live. I didn't feel healed. I felt alert. I stopped trying to prove I still mattered and started asking what actually worked. That question changed everything. I took a job in a sector no one from my old world respected. Different clients. Different language. Different pace. No overlap. No risk. Temporary, I told myself. Just to breathe. The truth was simpler. I wanted space to think without being hunted by my past. I used a shortened version of my name. No history. No explanations. When people asked where I came from, I said, somewhere else. They accepted that. The work was boring at first. Clean. Predictable. I learned the basics, then the gaps. I listened more than I spoke. I watched how decisions were made and who benefited from them. It felt familiar and different at the same time. Power still existed here, but it hid behind efficiency instead of intimidation. I liked that. I met him at a small networking event I didn't want to attend. I almost left early. He stopped me near the door. "You look like you're thinking too hard," he said. "I usually am," I replied. "That's expensive," he said. "So is ignorance," I answered. He smiled slightly. "Sit with me." "I don't pitch," I said. "Good," he replied. "I don't listen to pitches." We talked about systems, not dreams. He asked what annoyed me about my work. I told him the truth. People confuse control with leadership. He nodded. "And loyalty?" "Earned, not trapped," I said. He didn't ask my past. I didn't offer it. We met again a week later. Then again. Each time, he spoke less. Each time, he listened more. "What do you want to build?" he asked one afternoon. "Something that doesn't collapse when one person panics," I replied. That seemed to satisfy him. He asked for numbers, not promises. I showed him a small model I'd been refining quietly. Lean structure. Transparent contracts. No hidden penalties. People-first policies that weren't slogans. "You trust people," he said. "I verify systems," I corrected. He invested without drama. No handshake photos. No announcements. "Start small," he said. "Stay invisible." "That's the plan," I replied. We built slowly. I hired carefully. I explained everything. If something goes wrong, I told them, "You'll know before I do." They looked confused at first. Then relieved. Productivity followed trust. Efficiency followed clarity. I didn't push growth. I removed friction. The numbers surprised me. News reached me eventually. Her company was expanding. Buying competitors. Locking clients into aggressive terms. Old tactics, refined. People whispered her name like it still meant safety. I felt nothing. Or I told myself I didn't. When my sister mentioned it, I shrugged. "Does it bother you?" she asked. "No," I said too quickly. Late one night, I studied the market again. Her growth pattern. My structure. I paused. Looked closer. Then smiled. "What?" my investor asked on the call. "She built walls," I said. "And you?" "I built doors," I replied. That's when I saw it clearly. My model didn't violate her rules. It bypassed them. Quietly. Legally. Completely. Fear is expensive. I learned that watching her company grow the wrong way. From the outside, it looked unstoppable. Acquisitions. Headlines. Confidence. From the inside, it was pressure wrapped in contracts. I didn't need to guess. Someone who knew her methods found me first. He came to my office late, nervous eyes, careful words. "You probably don't remember me," he said. "I remember patterns," I replied. "Sit." He had worked under her for years. He spoke slowly, like he was afraid the walls were listening. "She doesn't lead," he said. "She locks." "How?" I asked. "Fear clauses. Penalties. Silence agreements," he answered. I listened. I didn't interrupt. "You don't leave her company," he continued. "You escape it." "And you did?" I asked. "Barely," he said. He didn't ask for a job. He asked if I was different. "I don't punish people for wanting options," I told him. He nodded. That's all I needed. I brought him in quietly. No announcements. No posts. He brought knowledge, not loyalty. I respected that. Through him, I understood her structure better. Control over trust. Speed over stability. Contracts over people. It worked until it didn't. Clients started calling. Not hers. The ones she ignored. "She won't meet without locking us in," one said. "I won't lock you at all," I replied. That confused them. We offered clean terms. Exit options. Shared risk. "Why would you do that?" a client asked. "Because trust isn't enforceable," I said. "Performance is." I didn't attack her. I didn't mention her name. I just built alternatives. Quiet ones. Better ones. My investor watched the numbers shift. "She's bleeding," he said. "She doesn't feel it yet," I replied. Inside, I questioned myself. Was this revenge? Justice? Or just competition? I didn't know. I only knew I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. That scared me more. Investors started asking her questions. She answered with confidence. The same confidence that once convinced me. This time, it worked less. The market listens differently when fear shows cracks. One evening, I checked the reports and saw it. Small losses. Missed renewals. Quiet exits. "We're ahead," my investor said. "Steady," I corrected. She still didn't see me. And that was the trap she set for herself. I didn't plan to see her there. I almost skipped the event entirely. My investor insisted. "Visibility matters now," he said. I agreed, but I stayed near the edges, listening more than speaking. Then I heard her laugh. It was the same sound. Practiced. Controlled. I felt it before I saw her. She stood near the stage, confident, surrounded. Power still fit her like a tailored suit. I told myself I felt nothing. Then she turned. Her eyes paused on me, slid past, then snapped back. Recognition landed late, but hard. "You," she said quietly. "Hello," I replied. Silence stretched. She recovered fast. "I didn't know you were in this space." "I wasn't," I said. "I adapted." Her smile tightened. "You look well." "I am," I answered. She gestured toward the man beside her. "This is my partner." He extended his hand. "I've heard about you." "Only recently," I said, shaking it. His grip was firm. His eyes stayed sharp. He didn't trust her. I saw it immediately. She saw me see it. That unsettled her more than anger ever could. We should talk, she said. We are, I replied. People moved around us, pretending not to listen. Rumors travel faster when silence gets heavy. You've been busy, she said. So have you, I replied. Her partner interrupted. Your model is interesting. Simple, I said. Dangerous, he replied. Only to systems built on pressure, I answered. She laughed lightly. Always dramatic. Always observant, I said. Later, whispers followed us. Contracts under review. Clients questioning penalties. Regulators circling language they once ignored. Her tools turned inward. The same clauses. The same fear. I watched her posture stiffen as conversations cooled. She pulled me aside near the exit. Is this intentional? She asked. What? I replied. This, she said, gesturing vaguely. I met her eyes. I'm not doing anything to you. That's not true, she snapped. It is, I said calmly. I'm doing something for others. Her voice dropped. You planned this. I prepared, I corrected. She stared at me, searching for the man she controlled. He wasn't there. You could help, she said finally. I won't, I replied. The word surprised us both. You owe me, she said. I paid, I answered. Her partner watched from a distance, arms crossed. He already knew. The balance had shifted. I felt it in the air, heavy and undeniable. As I walked away, I didn't feel victory. I felt distance. And for the first time, that felt like peace. The news didn't come as a headline. It came as whispers. Delayed payments. Meetings cancelled without explanation. Names leaving quietly. I heard it in pauses, in half-finished sentences, in the way people avoided eye contact when her company came up. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was past it. Still, every update felt heavier than I expected, like watching a storm move toward a house I once lived in. My investor called first. She's losing people, he said. That happens, I replied. Not like this, he said. I stayed quiet. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. I knew her system. Fear holds until it doesn't. When cracks appear, panic spreads faster than loyalty ever did. I remembered how calm she sounded when she ended my career. That calm was gone now. I could hear it in the rumors. I could feel it in the air. She called me late one night. No assistant. No filters. Just her voice. I didn't know who else to call, she said. You knew my number, I replied. Silence stretched between us. They're turning on me, she said. I warned you about control, I answered. You warned me about nothing, she snapped. I closed my eyes. I warned myself, I said. Her voice cracked. I'm scared. That was new. It landed harder than anger ever did. I never wanted this, she continued. You wanted power, I said. I wanted stability, she argued. At any cost, I replied. She didn't deny it. You don't understand how hard it is to lead, she said. I understand exactly, I answered. You just chose fear. She sighed. I didn't think it would come back like this. That's the problem, I said. You never think past yourself. She went quiet. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller. Can you help me? She asked. The question sat between us, heavy and dangerous. For a moment, I imagined it. Fixing things. Softening the fall. Proving I was better than her. Then I remembered the guard blocking me at the door. The HR voice. The contract. No, I said. You owe me, she said weakly. I owed you trust, I replied. You spent it. She cried then. Not loud. Controlled. Even her breakdown was measured. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. But you did, I answered. My sister called the next morning. You talked to her, she said. How do you know? I asked. I know you, she replied. Don't get involved, she warned. I'm not, I said. You're thinking about it, she said. I didn't deny it. She's falling apart, I said. She let you fall, my sister replied. That hurt because it was true. You don't need to be kind to be good, she continued. I don't want to be cruel, I said. Then walk away, she said. I struggled with that more than I expected. Part of me wanted closure. Another part wanted distance. I didn't cause her collapse. I didn't push. I didn't expose. I just refused to save her. When the next report came in, I didn't read it right away. I sat at my desk and breathed. I realized something then. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just lets go. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from the news playing softly in the background while I worked. The anchor said her company's name, then the word bankruptcy, clean and final. I froze, pen hovering above paper. I waited for something to hit me. Anger. Satisfaction. Relief. Nothing came. Just a long, quiet breath I didn't know I'd been holding for years. My phone buzzed an hour later. Unknown number. I answered anyway. It's me, she said. I didn't respond. I know you heard, she added. We met in a cafe near the old office. She arrived early, sitting small, eyes tired. No assistant. No confidence. You look different, she said. So do you, I replied. She stared at the table. I lost everything. I know, I said. Silence pressed down on us. Do you ever think, she began, then stopped. Finish, I said. Do you think things could have been different, she asked. I didn't answer right away. I searched myself carefully. Yes, I said. If you had treated people like people. Her eyes filled. I was scared. So was I replied. She looked up. You never forgave me. No, I said calmly. Another pause. But you're free now, she said. Yes, I replied. She nodded slowly. I didn't mean to break you. I know, I said. But intent doesn't erase damage. She reached for my hand, then stopped herself. I'm sorry, she whispered. I believe you, I said. That surprised her. Then why? Because forgiveness isn't required for release, I said. We sat there until there was nothing left to say. When I stood to leave, I felt lighter. The non-compete had expired that morning. Quietly. No ceremony. No apology. Outside, people walked past me, busy, alive. I realized something then. Revenge wasn't the victory. Survival was. I didn't celebrate when things stabilized. No party. No speech. Just a quiet morning where the numbers finally made sense without me checking them twice. My company stood strong, efficient, steady. People trusted us. Clients stayed because they wanted to, not because they were trapped. That mattered more than growth charts or headlines. Still, that wasn't the victory. The real win sat deeper, quieter, in the way I no longer doubted my own judgment. My sister visited that afternoon. She walked through the office slowly, reading faces instead of signs. "You built this," she said. "We built this," I replied. She smiled. "You finally sound like yourself again." We sat in my office, the door open. "Do you miss it?" she asked. "What?" "Who you were before," she said. I thought about it. "No," I answered. "Why not?" "Because that version of me needed permission," I said. She nodded. "You don't ask for that anymore." "I don't," I replied. I had learned how power really works. Not through authority, but through dependency. Not through leadership, but through fear. I saw how easily control dresses itself as protection, how quickly ambition bends ethics when nobody questions it. I wasn't immune before. I am cautious now. That difference matters. Later, my investor stopped by. "You did well," he said. "So did you," I replied. "I knew when to listen," he said. "That's rare," I answered. He handed me a folder. New partnership. Clean terms. I opened it slowly. "Read every line." "You don't trust me?" he asked, amused. "I trust systems," I replied. He laughed. "Good." When everyone left, I stayed behind. The office grew quiet. I thought about the people who vanished when I fell. I thought about the ones who stayed. My sister. A few colleagues. Myself. I honored them by staying honest. By not becoming what hurt me. I sat at my desk and signed the contract in front of me. Slowly. Carefully. Every word read. Every clause understood. When I finished, I didn't feel powerful. I felt free. I don't need revenge anymore. I reclaimed my life. I didn't expect quiet to feel this loud. After everything settled, after contracts and calls and confirmations, silence stayed. It wasn't empty. It was watchful. I sat alone in my office long after everyone left, listening to the hum of lights, reminding myself that this calm was earned, not temporary. I wasn't waiting for collapse anymore. That was new. My sister called first. "You still working?" she asked. "I'm sitting," I replied. "That's progress," she said. She came by later, carrying coffee like a peace offering. "You look different again," she said. "Better or worse?" I asked. "Clearer," she replied. We sat across from each other. "You don't talk about it much," she said. "I don't need to," I answered. "That's how I know you're healing," she said. Her words stayed with me after she left. Healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant remembering without bleeding. I still remembered the fear, the lockouts, the way my name vanished from systems overnight. But those memories no longer controlled my breathing. They informed it. A former colleague reached out next. "I didn't know how to help back then," he said. "I know," I replied. "I should have tried," he added. "You're trying now," I said. That conversation mattered more than I expected. Not because of apology, but because of honesty. People don't always betray you by action. Sometimes they do it by fear. I understood that now. I didn't excuse it. I just didn't carry it anymore. At work, my team noticed the shift. "You're calmer," one of them said. "I listen more," I replied. "And you decide faster," another added. They trusted me. Not because I demanded it, but because I never trapped them. Trust built slowly, then stayed. That was the difference. Power that needs cages is already failing. One afternoon, I received an email from a firm I once dreamed of joining. They wanted a meeting. Years ago, I would have jumped. Now, I read it twice and closed it. "Not interested?" my investor asked. "Not like that anymore," I said. We talked about growth, about risk, about temptation. "Success tests character more than failure," he said. "I know," I replied. That night, I walked past the old building. Different logo. Different people. Same doors. I stopped across the street, not with anger, but with distance. "You don't own me," I whispered. The words felt final. Not dramatic. Just true. I turned away and kept walking. Later, alone at home, I opened my notebook. I wrote one line: "I survived, and I learned." That was enough. I learned something uncomfortable after everything ended. Peace doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in pieces, and each piece weighs something. Knowing what I know now made me careful in ways I wasn't before. I didn't rush decisions. I didn't chase approval. I watched people closely, not with suspicion, but with understanding. I had seen how easily power changes tone when no one pushes back. One morning, a junior manager knocked on my door. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Always," I replied. He sat down, nervous. "How do you know when to trust someone?" he asked. I thought about it. "You don't start with trust," I said. "You start with clarity." "That sounds cold," he replied. "It's honest," I said. He nodded slowly. "I wish someone told me that earlier." "So do I answered. Conversations like that started happening more often. People didn't see me as untouchable. They saw me as someone who understood consequences. That mattered. Leadership wasn't about being admired anymore. It was about being consistent. My sister noticed the change too. "You don't flinch when things go wrong," she said during dinner. "I don't panic," I replied. "That's new," she said. "It's learned," I answered. She asked if I ever thought about her. "Sometimes," I said honestly. "Does it still hurt?" "No," I replied. "It reminds." That distinction mattered. Hurt demands reaction. Reminders demand reflection. I didn't need to confront the past anymore. I carried it correctly now. A potential partner tried to push aggressive terms during negotiations. "This is industry standard," he said. I smiled. "So was my downfall," I replied. The room went quiet. "You don't like pressure?" he asked. "I don't confuse pressure with leverage," I said. The deal changed. Transparency replaced force. I didn't feel proud. I felt aligned. That was better. Later that week, my investor asked me something unexpected. "Do you ever regret how it ended?" "With her?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "I considered it." "No," I replied. "I regret how long it took me to understand." He nodded. "That's honest." At night, alone, I sometimes replayed my earlier self. The man who trusted too quickly. The man who equated loyalty with silence. I didn't judge him anymore. I thanked him. He survived long enough for me to become this. I opened my notebook again and wrote another line. Knowledge is heavy, but it doesn't have to crush you. I closed it, turned off the light, and slept without dreaming of locked doors for the first time in years. The future stopped feeling like something waiting to punish me. That realization came quietly, without drama, while I was reviewing reports one evening. A small error appeared in the numbers. Nothing serious. Months ago, my chest would have tightened. Now, I corrected it, sent a note, and moved on. No fear followed. No spiral. I noticed that more than the mistake itself. I walked through the office before leaving, lights dim, desks empty. This place felt different from the old one. Not because it was bigger or better, but because it wasn't built on control. I didn't feel like it would disappear if I stepped away. That was intentional. I built something that didn't need me to survive, only to guide. My sister called while I was locking up. "You still there?" she asked. "Just heading out," I said. "You sound calm," she noted. "I am," I replied. She paused. "I like this version of you." "So do I said. We met for breakfast the next morning. She watched me closely, like she always did when she sensed a shift. "You're done carrying it, aren't you?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "All of it?" "Yes," I repeated. She smiled. "Good. It was never yours to carry alone." Later that day, I received a message from a former employee of hers. Short. Simple. "You were right. Fear doesn't last." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Some messages aren't meant to start conversations. They're meant to close them. In the afternoon, my investor stopped by unexpectedly. "Thinking about expansion," he said. "I know," I replied. "You ready?" "I'm not rushing," I said. "That's why I trust you," he answered. Trust. The word no longer tightened my jaw. It felt earned now, not assumed. I trusted differently too. I trusted processes. Boundaries. Time. I trusted myself to walk away when something didn't feel right, no matter how attractive it looked. Before leaving, I sat at my desk and opened a blank contract. A simple one. Clean language. Mutual exits. I read every word slowly. When I signed, my hand didn't shake. I didn't feel powerful. I felt grounded. I stood, turned off the light, and left the door unlocked behind me. Not because I forgot. Because I didn't need locks anymore. I walked forward alone, not isolated, not bitter, not afraid. Just aware. And that was enough. I didn't plan to keep writing after everything ended. Journals were supposed to close chapters, not extend them. Still, I found myself opening the notebook again, pen resting between my fingers, waiting. Not for anger. Not for regret. Just for clarity. Life doesn't stop when pain resolves. It shifts. And I wanted to meet that shift honestly. A new hire stopped me in the hallway that morning. "Can I ask you something personal?" he said. "You can ask," I replied. He hesitated. "Why do you do things this way?" "Which way?" I asked. "Without pressure," he said. "Without fear." I thought about it. "Because I've seen what fear builds," I answered. "And how fast it collapses." He nodded, relieved. "That makes sense." That exchange stayed with me all day. Not because it was deep, but because it was simple. I wasn't hiding my past anymore. I wasn't defined by it either. I used it as reference, not identity. That distinction mattered more than I ever expected. My sister and I had dinner that night. "You don't talk about work much," she said. "I don't need to," I replied. "That's healthy," she smiled. She asked if I was lonely. "No," I said honestly. "Alone isn't lonely?" "Not when you trust yourself," I answered. Later, alone at home, I thought about the people I might love someday. I thought about boundaries. About choosing slowly. About not confusing intensity with truth. I wasn't closing myself off. I was opening correctly. A message came in from my investor. "You've changed the culture. That lasts longer than profit." I stared at the screen for a long moment. That was the legacy I wanted. Not dominance. Not revenge. Influence without harm. Before sleeping, I stood by the window and watched the city breathe. Lights flickered. People moved forward with their own stories, unaware of mine. That felt right. I didn't need witnesses anymore. I wrote one final line in my notebook: "I am no longer surviving. I am choosing." I closed it, turned off the light, and let tomorrow arrive without fear. I used to think endings were loud. Explosions. Headlines. Final words that closed doors forever. But the truth is quieter than that. Endings slip in softly. They sit beside you while you work. They breathe when you breathe. They wait until you finally notice that you are no longer looking back. I noticed it on an ordinary Tuesday. A manager walked into my office holding a draft contract. "Can you review this?" she asked. "Of course," I said. I scanned the document. Clean language. Mutual exits. No traps. No hidden penalties. "This is good," I told her. "Really?" she asked. "No changes?" "Just one," I replied. "Make sure the client understands it fully before signing." She smiled. "We always do." That word hit differently now. Always. Not as a promise of permanence. Not as a weapon. Just a commitment to clarity. After she left, I leaned back in my chair and let myself think about the man I used to be. The one who signed quickly. The one who mistook confidence for safety. I didn't judge him anymore. He was necessary. Without him, I wouldn't be this version of myself. My sister called later that afternoon. "You sound happy," she said. "I am steady," I replied. "That's better," she said. We talked about small things. Groceries. Her work. A show she wanted me to watch. Life had returned to normal conversations. That was the quiet miracle. Before hanging up, she paused. "I'm proud of you," she said. "For what?" I asked. "For not becoming bitter." I didn't answer immediately. I let that settle. "I had help," I said finally. "You chose," she replied. That stayed with me long after the call ended. In the evening, I walked through the office one more time. Not to check anything. Not to correct anyone. Just to observe. People were working calmly. No raised voices. No tension in the air. Deadlines moved without fear attached to them. A junior analyst stopped me. "Can I ask something?" he said. "Sure." "Were you always like this?" he asked. I smiled slightly. "No." "What changed?" he pressed. "I learned the cost of control," I said. And I decided not to charge it. He nodded, like that was enough. When I left the building, the air felt cool and steady. I didn't look back at the doors. I didn't need to. There was nothing behind me trying to pull me in anymore. At home, I opened my old folder, the one that still held a copy of the original non-compete agreement. I hadn't touched it in months. I unfolded it slowly. The paper felt thinner than I remembered. I read the clause again. 3 years. Restriction. Penalty. Finality. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel shame. I felt distance. That didn't end me, I said out loud. It shaped me. It forced me to understand systems, power, silence. It forced me to rebuild without noise. It taught me that trust without awareness is surrender. I folded the paper carefully, then placed it back into the folder, not as a wound, but as a reminder. My phone buzzed. A message from a potential client. We chose you because your terms are clear. I stared at it for a moment and smiled. Clear. That word meant everything now. Before bed, I stood by the window and watched the city again. The same view. Different man. I wasn't chasing validation. I wasn't proving anything to anyone. I wasn't waiting for karma to finish a sentence. I already knew the ending. Revenge was loud. Survival was quiet. Growth was quieter still. I turned off the lights and let the room fall into darkness without fear. Tomorrow would come, not as a threat, but as a choice. And this time, I would read every word.